All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are just about ready to hop into Week 4, Game 3 of Season 6 of the Swain Batty League. As always, I'm AJS0, joined here by the wonderful and lovely, as always, Mai Wang. And
Hello.
I'm not going to really ask you how you're doing tonight because you just lost the 60-minute game, and I know exactly how you're doing after that. So we're going to just jump right into these teams. I definitely think at this point in the season, this is the marquee matchup in this league. I think
Oh,
these two teams have proven they are a clear cut above the entire rest of the league. And I think it's a shame that Forces of Nature have to play their sub tonight because I really want to see these teams clash at full power.
well, maybe we will get to see that during the next round robin. Master Yi ban right off the bat.
Well, I can only assume that's targeted at Mikado in the jungle, and from what little I know of Mikado's jungle pool, I actually would believe that he plays Master Yi.
I I would assume a little bit towards Just Dan. He plays a lot of Master Yi as well. And this week, Just Dan just got a name change back to Just Dan.
I did not even realize that. Rest in peace, Zizima's my main. Welcome back, I'm just Dan.
He actually changed his name because you could not pronounce it on stream.
Zizima's? Is that wrong?
It's Zezma's.
That's
The I is actually supposed to be a apostrophe, but even if it's not an apostrophe, you still pronounce it wrong. What he told me.
well, Dan. I guess it's a good thing you're just Dan again.
Well, we got a Kale ban and a Fizz ban going out. Callista ban.
Yeah, I like that Callista ban a lot. One thing to touch on real quick before we go in: this is the first week since week 1 where Team Saltshaker wouldn't have been able to play with K-King again, and they have opted not to. So we'll see if that continues going forward. But obviously, this lineup looks really good these last 2 weeks with Kai Nosing in.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the right call, at least for this week, and maybe even going forward in the future. K-King actually just stepped off a plane at about 2 o'clock today, so I don't think he was really ready to play League of Legends.
Yes, that's also true. Hasn't played in 2 weeks, so. But I like that Callista ban a lot. We've seen Kai Nosing all last season. So far this season, been loving that pick. And it's still very good in the right hands. So ultimately, Saltshaker taking away Yi, Fizz, and Oriana. I really like that Oriana ban.
Yeah,
Blabour has been wrecking with that so far this season.
I feel that Oriana has actually been like one of the strongest picks this season. I know versus my team, we have lost 4 games in a row to Oriana, and she's made big plays every game. And Master
Oh
Splinter
man.
getting the blue side Shyvana.
Oh man. Forces of Nature deciding that they're less afraid of the Shyvana than the Kale and the Eve. I mean,
I,
that's a conscious decision. They had to know if you leave Shyvana open right now, Master Splinter will first pick it without hesitation.
I really think those other 2 bans are the weaker of the two junglers that Master Splinter may pull out.
I think he's probably. I think if Master Splinter had the chance to pick between Shyvana and Kale, he would actually take Kale slightly more often. I think Kale's more of a solo carry champion. I mean, they can both solo carry very hard, but I think Kale has just a little more potential to be the single-handed winning force on your team. And I respect the E-Ban. I would probably do the same thing in their situation. Evelyn's just one of those champs where the difference between a player's skill and your own really, really gets amplified.
And Ash is this first Ash that we've seen in the SBL?
I think it is. Ash in 30 is going to get his beloved Nautilus. That is a very strong lane.
Microphone muted.
Once those two hit level 6, they have kill pressure on anybody.
Over here,
But
Million Babies and Scotch not picking. Yeah, I
a
do
little
think
worried
that
for Ghost 32 though. Obviously, he looked like he had a decent positioning in fights last week, but it's going to be much harder this week playing Ash versus Master Splinter's Shyvana.
yeah, Ash is a very, very, very scary carry to pick, especially against a jungler that is as aggressive as Master Splinter.
Yeah, last week Ghost didn't have too great of a lane phase, and I think as Ash Nautilus, these guys are going to really need to win bot lane for Forces of Nature. If they just go even in bot lane, I expect them to struggle a lot in the team fights. And Leona and Ari coming out next. Not surprised to see a Million Babies going for his Leona he's been known for since the beginning of time.
Yeah, I think Leona is definitely a great pick against that Ashe as well. A lot of
Oh,
more dive potential to get on 80s carry that really has nothing once get to her.
yeah, Ari, Leona, Shyvana, this is not looking like it's going to be a fun game for Ghost 32 in his second game on stream. We'll see how he adapts.
Makuro looking like he's hovering over the Win Zhao. I do not know him to play that jungler.
Well, Zinja doesn't take a whole lot of skill as long as you don't screw up the ultimates, right?
You know, I'm looking through his match history right now, and I actually don't see like a single Xin Zhao game in the past month.
Once upon a time, there was a jungler named Diamond Proc. He played for a team called the Moscow 5. And in his debut LAN, which was kind of a tryout back in Season 2, they asked him, hey, can you play Xin Zhao during the Draft 1 game? He lied and said yes, and then looked up the Odd One's guide to playing it, and Moscow 5 didn't drop a game that tournament, with him mostly playing Xin Zhao. If that can happen, I believe anybody can pick Xin. And I'm just going for Wukong, one of his probably all-time up there favorite top laners. Aggressive in lane, aggressive in team fight, a lot of playmaking potential.
That's I really do like at least the team being hovered over on blue side way better than everything that we've seen on purple. I do not feel like Wukong is going to be able to crush a squishy target. And I don't think Xin Zhao is going to be able to get back on a squishy target either. I feel that Xin Zhao right now is one of the weaker Devourer junglers, although he's probably better once you ban Kale, Shyvana, and Eve, Master Yi. But he still does not have a whole lot. He definitely falls off in terms of tankiness compared to the other ones.
Yeah, and there's not crazy dive targets on Team Soul Shaker to dive on, anyways. Ari, you don't really want to be blowing your dive on Ari. And Sivir, I mean, she can spell shield some of it, and as long as she gets her ult off, it's not like you're playing against a Xerath or a Jinx or an Ashe. But man, is that Team Salt Shaker. If Ghost 32 can post a KDA better than 2, I will be amazed this game.
Then we're getting a hover over Cassiopeia. The Cassiopeia Ari match. Oh, okay, going to a support. All right, Morgana.
Oh, and Bloodborne bringing back his legendary Morgana mid. Oh, I was so close to banning that pick versus Forces of Nature earlier this season, and I am so glad to see him busting this out. And I actually think that's a pick that Forces of Nature really needed in this comp. They need something to stop the ridiculous engage of Team Salt Shaker. And Morgana's a perfect champion for that, especially mid lane Morgana, who does so much more damage than you'd expect.
Yeah, I also agree. I think this is a very good comp for Morgana to shield the target. Like, you can either shield Ashe if you're getting engaged on, or you can shield Wukong to get your engage off effectively without it being stopped by Leona stuns or Ari charms or even a Malphite ultimate. I think that is probably one of the best picks that they could have picked to round out this team comp.
Agreed completely. And something I wouldn't have even thought of because somehow you forget about people's well-known picks between seasons.
Well, when Morgana falls out of the meta, it's really hard to pick.
But well done on Forces of Nature to recognize this. And I have to think they were planning this out, at least to some extent. And speaking of Blabur, actually, I want to talk a little bit about him while we're waiting to get into this game. He has been incredible this season. I think he's played Ori 2, maybe all 3 of his games so far. But it doesn't matter what his team's playing, what team they're playing against, he always seems to be one of the most impactful people on the map. And I think he's clearly been the best mid laner in this league so far this season.
I completely agree with you on that. He has shown to dominate everything matchup that he's been put against. I have not seen a very bad game out of him yet.
And with all the talent on the rest of that team, it's They're tough to beat when they've got a mid laner playing so well.
I really feel like that over on Purple Team that we have not seen the explosive bot lane that I thought we were going to get out of them with the 30 tree bot lane. And their jungler Mikro really hasn't shown up to be potential carry. They've all moved as a team, and Mikro's kind of been the guy hanging off, even though I think that is like the team aspect of it is really what's carried these guys through where they are today. But I don't think that there's been super shining stars besides Bloodborne on that team.
I think 30's been the best support in the league so far. They don't. I think they even won most of their bot lanes by a fair margin, especially when Tree was playing. I mean, they're always taking early towers. They're always getting early kills, and most importantly, 30 is always roaming. I don't know how many times 30's shown up mid and gotten Blumboer a kill or taken one for himself. Because that's only happened in half the games this season. But there's a lot of non-greedy players in Forces of Nature. These are guys that know they don't have to jump through ridiculous leads. They know they can trust 30 shot calling and to play the team game out as the game goes on and feel confident that they'll win.
Do you think that 30 is the only person that shot calls on that team?
Absolutely. No, not a single doubt in my mind. I think some of the other guys give him communication. I mean, I don't think that team's going to be dead silence, but 30 absolutely has the final say on everything for that team. So, looking at Team Soulshaker real fast before we get into this game, Master Splinter has also been playing very, very well this season.
I don't think that there has been a season where Master Splinter has not played very well.
That's true, but he's doing it again. And this is a good metaphor. That was maybe one of the things he struggled with in some other seasons, is as say when the Cinderhulk meta first hit, he couldn't carry quite as hard as he was used to. But his teammates have also been picking up a lot of the slack. Kainos and Mitsurugi have been very big this season, and Scotchon has done a good job of doing his job.
I can't believe how good that Keinhosen and Mitsurugi have really come out, but still stayed in the shadows. I feel like that Keinhosen came out really strong as an AD carry. I believe it was last season, and then went to mid, and then everybody I don't think that mid excelled at as much as AD carry, and so we really didn't see him do very well until King left in week 1. And then Mitsurugi has been picking up the slap perfect mid.
So skipping over these summoner spells, nothing too out of the ordinary. Blabur opting for an exhaust on that Morgana, not a surprise. Having a second exhaust should be very good against Soulshaker's lineup.
No Ignite over on the side of Purple Team.
Yeah, Forces of Nature not running any Ignites, but I don't think that's too bad of a thing, especially in this matchup. I think the exhausts are just going to be super, super useful versus Soulshaker's comp. So I actually like that call.
Check out the skin game over here. We have Championship Shyvana. I definitely think that's the best Shyvana skin.
Do you think we're going to see anything at level 1 in this game?
No, yes. Actually, 30 made mention on stream today about how his team likes to take level 1s, and we have Morgana Nautilus. I don't see why you wouldn't do a level 1 with this team.
And Ash brings the perma-slow at level 1 now, too.
Yep.
I'm hoping to see a level 1.
Even Xin Zhao generally takes Q first, and if he can get a...
Both teams are pinging the same Tribush. This could start fast.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Let's see if
I think Force of Nature is going to show up as a team first, but Leona's going to hit that brush.
Yeah, if they lead in there, if they just shoot a blind Q in, which it looks like they're not opting to do, they are just going to walk into this bush. So Million Baby's going to ward that. Forces of Nature are actually going to clear that ward. Well done. But I would have really liked to have seen that team sit around in Fog of War, shoot in the binding, and then rush in after. Because you have to be afraid of that play if you're up against somebody with a long-range skill shot like Morgana. I think that could have netted them a good chance at First Blood. But they'll settle for denying one Vision Ward. Now, Scotchon and Mitch going for Ward of their own, and I'm just, Dan, not really paying attention. He's going to take a little bit of damage here. We'll see. He's going to probably opt to back. Yep, he's recalling, so he may be going to miss a single creep or two in lane. Shouldn't be the end of his world. We'll see if Scotchon does much to capitalize on that.
When he goes going up against Malphite in lane, I doubt that there's going to be anything going on with that lane for quite a few levels.
Yeah, most likely not. And both bot lanes leashing, as tends to be the standard in the Swain Baddie League this season. Not much else to it. Starting items all looking pretty normal. Got a cloth armor out of Malphites in the top lane. I'm just Dan opting for a flask, which is probably his best call there. He's not going to be able to make anything crazy happen aggressive early with the Dorans.
With his backer right away at the level 1 fight, he was able to pick up a mana pot.
Who knows, maybe that's going to be the decisive play in this game.
Maybe it is, but probably not.
So I just want to comment on Kainhozen chucks out a Boomerang Blade at 30 early in this game. That is such a waste of mana at level 1 against the Nautilus. You want to know why Nautilus is such a great support? Because you can't kill him. No matter what you do, he's just going to tank it up and laugh at you. Don't even blow the mana on that guy.
Okay, Ghost 32 missing a bunch of CS. Right away.
That's only third wave. He's only down now 2. I have these teams backward. Yes, Ghost 32 missing a ton of CS. And just like last week. You know, some people don't realize how much pressure you can be under when you're up against an experienced bot lane, like a Million Babies and Kainhozen are.
Yeah, these are two that have worked very well together.
And I really like the strategy out of Kainhozen and Babies. You're up against an enemy ADC who's shown he has trouble CSing. Just shove everything under the wave as much as you can, which Sivir can do with ease, and force him to try and CS under tower, which there's a lot more to than CSing out in the open.
30's not giving him any help with those creeps either. The few that he tried Ghost tried the last hit, and if he would have gotten one auto attack, he would have been able to get it.
Yeah, this has turned into a full wave of difference over just these first few waves. Other lanes all going pretty even, though. And Kainhozen having some very nice spell shields that's keeping his mana up, which will let him keep up this shove game. Although 30 getting pretty aggressive as soon as he knows that spell shield's on cooldown. And Mikuro gonna meet up with Scotchon here. Mikuro pops his dash, but here comes Master Splinter. He gets the knock up, and 2v2, both teams are gonna just disengage that. Not much to be gained.
Yeah, during that fight, I would definitely fear the Shyvana's damage. Her damage is very strong early. Oh, 30 lands a great hook.
Nice hook, but just onto a Million Babies. You're not going to be doing too much damage to him. Well, these bouncing blades do give Babies and Kainhozen, I think, a slight edge on this trade. Kainhozen just spell shield and everything that comes at him. A great Boomerang Blade gets double hits off.
30's He's completely out of mana. He can't do anything now.
And now Mikaro's going to go in on Michirugi. The charm is going to hit, but there's a great snare. Michirugi gets knocked up, and Mikaro actually takes too many tower shots. Mikaro is going to give up first blood for absolutely no reason before Blabur is able to take the return kill. So first blood traded for assist gold, but that should have just been a free kill.
Yeah, there was no reason that Mikaro should have sat there and taken it. He even had flash up. Like, he could have easily flashed out of the tower. Not really sure what he was doing.
Gotcha not going for the long chase up in this top lane. And I'm just Dan very low. Jan slowed, and Dan's gonna pop clone. Scotchanaut not fooled, but Scotchanaut's a Malphite. He doesn't have much damage. And I'm just Dan's gonna flash. And now Scotchanaut flashes under the tower. Scotchanaut takes 2 towers, and now Scotchanaut is dead too? What are these people doing? Oh.
Wow.
What incredible greed. You're a Malphite, man. You don't have to get kills. That's not your goal.
Wow, now look at that CS difference after that. And the wave is even...
But a nice chase coming out of this bot lane. Now Mikaro's going to flash in, force an immediate flashback out of Kindhosen. Mikaro has flashbacks to when he tower dove in mid lane and opts not to do it again.
Alright, back to the Malphite versus Wukong top lane. So what I was going to say is, if we look at that wave top lane, that wave was pushing towards the Wukong, and Malphite chose to dive that anyways, giving Wukong a huge CS
Wukong
lead.
has not only a huge CS lead, his EXP lead is roughly 1.25 levels right now. Currently 2 levels, actually, until some of these waves even out. That is such a huge advantage just in base stats. And here comes Mikaro in this mid lane. He's going to try the knock up, not going to succeed. But going to force Michirugi through the remainder of his mana. I just want to add, over the course of these last few minutes, Ghost and Kainos have actually mostly evened up on CS. Kainos is going to shove most of this wave into the tower, but it shouldn't amount to any more than a 5 or 6 CS difference between the two ADCs, which is the same it was in about 4 minutes. So well played 30 and Ghost to slow the bleeding there.
Yeah, that is...
But oh man, looking at these jungle CS, Master Splinter is up 18 CS currently. That only amounts to about a 300 gold lead, but Master Splinter already has his Devourer. Yikes.
Yeah, that is a huge CS lead. We saw Xin Zhao go mid twice, I believe, to try and get a kill. And as a Devourer jungle, you really don't want to gank at all. You want to just sit there and farm your jungle unless you know 100% you're going to get a kill, and then can even hopefully farm afterwards.
Yeah, speaking of EXP leads, that's about 1.25 levels currently for Master Splinter over Mikaro from those camps. And that's just such a crazy lead Saltshaker's managed to accrue out of base stats.
Well, Force of Nature is still going to have Just Dan on their team, which is quite a bit ahead of Scotchanaut. We see Scotchanaut pulling out the Chain Vest. That actually doesn't do a lot against Wukong because his Q has Armor Shred. Oh, and here's Devourer stacks for Master Splinter. There's 5 of them.
This is where I act surprised while Master Splinter is sneaking a dragon early in the game by himself.
They didn't have that worded anywhere. Master Splinter probably could have just walked into that and taken the dragon. Billion Babies has had 30 and Ash Ghost 32 pushed up all the way the entire game. They haven't even had a chance to get wards. Going up for another gank.
And this is going to be a lot of damage on the Scotchanaut. Knocked up by I'm Just Dan, knocked up by Mikaro, and Mikaro takes his 2nd kill of the match. Giving a 3-1 kill lead and a 200 gold lead over the Forces of Nature. And this is, you know what the best way to stop a team with that much dive is? Kill one of their divers so many times he's scared to die, dude. Forces of Nature doing a great job on that so far.
Yeah, with Malphite being extremely squishy to, oh.
And now, CC, a lot of hitting a million babies. Now, a great solar flare, but it doesn't matter because Labour is here. 30 gets the kill on the Kainos, and now a million babies going to be locked up, and Ghost 32 taking the second kill of the engagement. 0 for 2 on an awesome roam out of Labour.
Forces of Nature just had pressure all over this map, and there has been nothing to answer. Master Splinter just has to stick in the jungle and farm to try and get those sated stats up. Hopefully, or if he's lucky, those sated stacks will be turn out in gold later.
So we'll see when Forces of Nature can start turning some of this into objectives. Because Dragon off the bat, Master Splitter actually be forced to Dragon over the Dragon Wall.
Has Soul Shakers dropped a game yet in the SBL
They
this
are
season?
currently the only 3-0 team. And they have had massive early leads in every single one of their games. So we will see how they respond to a game where they're behind. Obviously, they have a very good team for, as long as they're not too far behind. You know, hard engage, you find one person slightly out of position, like Master Splinter has a tendency to, and you just jump in. So we'll see what's going to happen next year. Nice charm on the Labour, a little bit of damage. So reevaluating some of these leads. A 13 CS lead for Michirugi. Probably accrued. And actually, Michirugi going all in here. He drops his Ignite on Labour. Labour drops his exhaust and a great dash out of the snare range. But now Scotchnaut being jumped on. I'm just Dan with the knockup. But Scotchnaut's going to ult himself under his tower and save his life. But that is a flash and an ult for only Mikaro's flash. Definitely a more valuable flash on Scotchnaut than Mikaro, I think.
I definitely have to agree with that. Scotchnaut getting those flash ultimates is huge for the Ashe on their team. Or for the Ashe that they're facing. Gives Valor a lot less time to react when those he needs to put the magic shield down. In fact, only about a 1k gold lead.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
And up to a 2k.
And the towers begin to fall for Forces of Nature.
Yeah, Salt Shakers really needs to get this bottom tower that they've been shoving. This is like the only lane that they even have a likely chance to get that tower in a near future without a huge fight going on.
Yeah, this is really a lane where Master Splinter should be able to just walk into that lane, shove the creeps, 2v2 or 3v2 or 3v3 even if you have to, and a few auto attacks from Kainos and that tower goes down. Because Ghost 32 has done a great job of keeping up on CS despite being under this tower this whole time. And there goes the snare! But no pull to follow it up, sad day. Those of us that wanted blood. We've got 35 seconds on this dragon here. Knowing how
here we go.
it's going, actually, Mikaro going to be walking into Master Splinter, who is doing so much damage. Michirugi is going to ult for absolutely no reason to secure that kill.
I don't think that's no reason when you need the secure kill.
I mean, Mikaro's flash, if that was communicated, they know Mikaro's flash is down. Even if he flashes, they have so many ways to get on that guy. And now the fight breaking out. Master Splinter gets blown off. A kill going over to Ghost 32. And after that awesome play on Mikro, they cannot secure the dragon with their smite down. Now Blabur doing everything he can to zone on Mitsurugi. But he's going to get checked by A Million Babies here, who is choosing to go in. A Million Babies doing what he can. And Kaido's showing up at the end of this. But Ghost 32 doing a lot of great auto-attacking as they disengage out of that fight. And ultimately, no objectives are going to fall. I'm just Dan's going to just keep pushing onto that tower top lane.
Well, there is nobody that is able to contest I'm just Dan right now. He is so big with that Hydra completed.
Yeah, the only person that would really have a chance to 1v1 him right now would be Master Splinter. And obviously, you don't want him farming lane creeps, you want him farming jungle creeps.
And Master Splinter doesn't even have Bork completed. It's going to be really hard for him to 1v1.
Another play on the dragon here. We'll see. Team Soul Shaker looks like they're going to give this up. They're going to go try to trade for the mid tower instead. We might see a fight break out here as Forces of Nature even up the dragon score. But
Smart decision.
Master Splinter going to easily take the turn. That was a good call that it looked like they weren't going to make for a moment. I think when you're behind like that on kills, you're definitely happy to trade for a tower. Keep that gold even. And open up the map once that mid lane tower goes down.
I'm just Dan has this 55 gold lead, or 55 CS lead, a kill, and an assist on Malphite. What do you do?
Almost 1,500 gold on that Malphite. This is one of the hardest single lane victories we've seen all season so far. And I'm just Dan gonna go into the Trinity Force next. I love it.
A lot of top laners will just pick up Phage just so that they can CS and hit the CS and run off right away. It makes them very, very slippery. But he probably will hit the Trinity Force with him having this big of a gold lead.
So, looking at some of these other item builds, mid lane we've got a Morello Namicon and the components of a Zhonya's Hourglass on Mitsurugi. And a Zhonya's Hourglass NHL Pyronny on Blabur.
Zhonya's is really the biggest core item that Morgana needs, just to get into the center of that fight and stun everybody effectively.
Yeah, I love seeing that as the first item. A lot of Morganas will try to go greedy and go for something else, or go for something with mana sustain. This is going to let Blabur and Force of Nature just team fight. And now Scotchdot being abused again. He's knocked up. Mikro flashes, Scotchdot immediately flashes. And another Scotchdot flash trade that, not the best, but still probably a win for Forces of Nature.
Yeah, Mikro does not need to do anything but gank for this team. I'm actually really surprised that he doesn't play something a little bit more gank heavy, because his Devourer jungles really haven't shown up. Been a lot heavier on ganking lanes. Mikro is sitting over there with only 21 Devourer stacks, while Master Splinter has his almost fully farmed at 29.
Well, that'll happen when there's a 47 CS difference. Almost as big as the one in the top lane.
Yeah, that is partially what's keeping this game afloat for Salt Shakers.
Yeah, and Soul Shaker, if these guys know what they're doing, they shouldn't be worrying at all. Master Splinter has always been very good at playing these hard engaged teams. And all it takes is one pick to completely destroy this game with the comp like Soul Shaker has. But at the same time, Force of Nature gotta be happy as long as they just keep their vision control up. They hopefully won't get picked. They can obviously set up some nice picks of their own with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
I always find it interesting when you see like the Aegis rush first on The tanks. Oh, looks like we're getting a little engaged.
Yeah, a lot of damage going on. I'm just dead. There's going to be an unstoppable force to knock him up, followed by a Dragon's Descent. Dan's going to try to ult his way out, but it is not enough. And a first kill of the game going over to Master Splinter. And Forces of Nature will not have enough to answer with this turret.
This brings Salt Shakers back to the
Microphone
lead.
muted.
It's like I said, just like that. One pick, and things are suddenly looking a lot better for Salt Shaker. They're going to get some real nice damage on this top lane turret. We'll see if Mikuro tries to fight Master Splinter with the burnout up. He's going to have to flash because he's full tower aggro if he tries to fight that Mikuro. And meanwhile, a fight breaking out in the middle lane. Solar Flare is not going to do a damn thing. Everyone is flashing defensively out of this fight. And Blaboor is going to try to get his Soul Shackles off, but it's only going to hit Scotchnaut. And now Blaboor is exhausted, and Mikuro showing up way late to this fight. But a huge binding onto Michirugi. He is now getting knocked up, a third kill for Mikuro. And somehow only one person dies in that fight?
And that person was on Salt Shakers. That fight started out as a 3v5.
And immediately a great tower take coming out of Forces of Nature. We're probably about to recall. We've got 45 seconds on this dragon.
Ghost 32 had one of the best Ashe ultimates that I've seen. He waited for the severe shield to go down and let 30 pop the shield before initiating the ultimate. He held that perfectly.
Yeah, and Sivir's had the spell shield duration nerfed from the past. It only lasts for a second or two currently. So there's a lot of opportunity to make a play and immediately capitalize on a Sivir that gets a little trigger happy. And that's what you have to do, because you're not going to kill Sivir that's spell shielding properly. 5 seconds on this dragon. Blaboor going to be the last man to this party. Force of Nature going to hope they can just body scare Team Salt Shaker off this, but I think we are about to see our first team fight.
Force of Nature does not have a lot of key ultimates up. Bloodbear's ultimate's down, 30's ultimate's down, Ghost's ultimate is down. They really need these ultimates before engaging like this hard engaged comp, like Shyvana, Leona, Malphite.
Yeah, it looks like they might be recognizing that because they're peeling backwards. But Soul Shaker has not started his dragon yet, and a lot of time being bought here. 30's got 5 seconds on depth charge. That is the last ult that's coming up. And Force of Nature just looking for a good enchanted crystal arrow. Dragon just started, but a million babies in Scotchnaut doing a good zone job. And it looks like Force of Nature going to just opt out of this fight after all of that posturing. But I'm just Dan's kind of going in. No, they're actually trying to flank here. Because here comes 30. A huge hook out of Michirugi. Michirugi gets locked up and Michirugi dies. But now Ghost being knocked up, kiting backwards. Master Splinter, the second casualty of this fight. I'm just Dan, the only man down for Force of Nature. That's a 1 for 3 and a double kill for Mikuro. Now a million babies get snared up. He's going to die too. A double kill for Mikuro. A double kill for Ghost 32. And Dragon traded for 3 additional kills. I think Forces of Nature are going to be fine taking that.
Wow.
And they might be rushing towards this Baron?
I do not think that these guys have enough
No.
health or death
Mikuro
timers
too
are long
low.
enough.
They're going to just set up for getting a few wards up.
They're going
I
to look
agree.
at this tower. They're going to say that we don't have a wave. They're going to wait for the wave, and then everybody's going to be alive.
But what looks like a strange flank on a Forces of Nature, actually 30, as usual, pulling it off perfectly.
Yeah, that was an amazing hook or binding into the Ashe ultimate, which just stopped Mitsurugi altogether. And just nobody else was able to do anything with that fight.
And that
The
had to have
Malphite
been a
ultimate
max
went out,
range
and nobody
hook.
could even capitalize on it.
And after losing the fight, we see Master Splinter starting to work on some tank stats here. And now a fight breaking out in Team Soul Shaker's jungle. Once again, Scotchnaut's going to have to unstoppable force his way out. And now Mikuro a little too deep. The kill going over to Kainhosen. And now a good turn coming out of Team Soul Shaker. A double kill for Kainhosen. Ghost 32 flashed up, but he's going to die. A triple kill for Kainhosen. He's chasing down Blaboor, who I don't think... No, the move speed is going to be enough to get him out of that. And a great binding to guarantee he stays out of that. but I'm just Dan pushing down in the bot lane. Gonna try to at least equalize a bad fight by taking a tower. And he's going to succeed.
I'm just Dan has teleport up, so he should be able to make it right back to the top.
And an awesome play out of I'm Just Dan. Whether his team thought he was going to teleport in there, or that was just kind of a cash the whole time, they overcommitted on a pick, we don't know. But he makes the most out of the situation, it looks like.
I'm Just Dan, man. He has got the items right now to be Wukong. Hydra, Black Cleaver completed. What more do you want as a monkey?
So this gold lead just shy of 2K in favor of Forces of Nature. Basically entirely coming from those 2 extra towers there up. Some very good scores on some of these players. Both AD carries sitting at 4-1. Both AD carries sitting at Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer. Kindhosen going for the Boot Enchantment Furor nice and early, which I love.
I do not see a lot of other AD carries do that.
No, a lot of AD carries are too scared. That is a confident AD carry move. You have to think that your positioning is good, and that your team's not going to fall too far behind if you commit to the Furor. But combined with Sivir's passive, she's going to be moving so fast between auto attacks, going to have great kite potential to try and make up for that awful, awful attack range.
Dan
And now I'm Just Dan going to brutalize Scotchanaut yet again.
They've started to even out. Scotchanaut has tons of armor now. Frozen Heart and Sunfire Cave. This is exactly what the other team needs to be itemizing, is armor. I was going to mention this before, but Leona opted to go for the Locket of Iron Slurry. There is not actually a lot of magic damage, but Blur's not getting any kills, and Morgana is actually a pretty low magic damage mid, comparatively to these giant threats that you have from Wukong, Xin Zhao, and Ashe.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially Xin Zhao and Ashe being attack speed plays, getting Frozen Hearts and Randuin's Omens really helping slowing those guys down.
But here goes Master Splinter. There's an on the hunt, a teleport coming out of Scotchanaut. They're going super hard. Mikro gets blown up, and they are not giving up the shade. Babur going to give himself up to secure more people's lives. But no, 30 actually turns. He wants to go back in on this, but Kairos is going to pick up an easy kill. And now Team Soulshaker moving forward. I'm Just Dan never anywhere near that fight. But he's going in. I'm Just Dan with a 3, 4, 5 man knockup. A shutdown onto Kindhosen. Now Master Splinter goes down to Ghost 32. And I'm Just Dan makes it out of the fight alive. A great salvage of that situation out of I'm Just Dan. Who seems to want to remind me every time I cast one of his games that I put him at like 32nd on my power rankings. I'm sorry, Dan. You're moving up after that all. Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. I'm Just Dan has had actually an amazing season this year. He's definitely moved into one of the best top lanes in this league. And he always has been, but it's always been wondering how reliable of a player is he going to be.
He's always had sometimes issues doing the right thing within the team game, but he's been in the right place at the right time a lot this season. And Mikro going to pick up a mop-up kill here onto a million babies. That's 35 seconds with the Dragon up. All the Forces of Nature at full health. They should be able to even this Dragon counter at 2-2 again. And here we are. Back to square one. Just shy of a 2K gold lead for Forces of Nature. This game clearly in a class of its own compared to that last trash matchup everyone watched.
I wonder if they're going to still continue to have Just Dan split pushing. I feel like they've gotten caught out so many times that eventually one of those is going to lead
I
lot
agree.
more than what has been happening.
Comp wants you to split push. Master Splinter, as a shot caller, wants you to split push. Don't give Team Salt Shaker what they want. Group is 5. Try to force some objectives. I really like to see a Baron bait come out, although I know how much we are scared of those in the Swain League.
There's so many chances to ward. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, and here comes On the Hunt. 30 being engaged on. 30's going to try to hook out. He's got a flash, but not... Oh, no, 30 flashed up, but he dies to a last auto attack. Mikaro's going to get a trade on the Kaidos, but Mikaro's going to die for it. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to just slow the process down. But here comes Labur and Dan with all of the AoE. Solar Flare hits nobody. Dan destroying everybody. Labur destroying everybody. They are all back, but here comes Scotchanaut. A great unstoppable force. And this fight is going to turn back in favor of Salt Shaker, who went 3 for 4.
Once again, Just Dan is just not there, and like they're just getting caught out to get caught out. There are so many things to catch forces of nature, and they're just not respecting that.
Alright, Wang, I want you to answer a few questions for me. What happens when Zipper pops on the hunts and you're split?
You just get caught.
What happens when Malphite pops Unstoppable Force and you're split?
You just get caught.
What happens when Leona pops a Solar Flare and you're split?
You just get caught.
Are you folks onto something here? You know what happens when you split versus this comp? You just get caught! Stop doing it!
I don't even think that this is a comp issue right now. This is just, they aren't respecting it. Like, they could sit at towers and let the Wukong split push. He is stronger than everybody. This guy is level 16, higher than everybody except for Master Splitter over on Soul Shakers. Oh, here's a nice bait. Oh, the one hook that Blabor doesn't land.
He's not going to take too much damage. And I'm just Dan. Looks like he wants to go straight to that bot lane. And I think we're going to see the catching Act 5.
Alright, so we got 30 middle. We got not mobile 80 carry middle. There's no middle tower. There's a outer tower is still up. Salt Shaker should be able to easily go take that, get gold. I assume that they're going to head there soon since their wave is starting to push up that way.
I'm just Dan and Scotchanaut both currently have teleport, so if Scotchanaut wants to match this, he can, which he's currently doing. And both these guys also have the potential to interrupt the other person's teleport, so there could be a lot of outplay potential in this bot lane. But Mesh Splinter, no, he's staying towards this Baron. And Mesh Splinter is actually going to opt for a teleport to top lane just to get CS. I do not like that. Mitsurugi had already backed off into Fog of War. You know he wasn't committed to taking that tower. The creep wave was nowhere near big enough to take that tower, no matter how low it was. And that's a huge resource that Forces of Nature are going to be down for this next few minutes when we start, hopefully, seeing some very decisive team fights.
Now Just Dan is sitting there, and he's getting pinged back. He actually got it back.
Now Malphite going to do the proper thing. He's got the teleport pressure here. Force of Nature just really setting a vision right now.
They might be actually trying for Baron.
Salt Shaker has some great wards in the area, though. This is going to be very hard for Forces to pull off.
TP is down. Malphite's TP is still up, and he's pushing that wave. He should still be able to come back in time if Salt Shakers wish to engage a fight.
Yeah, he's got some very deep flank options if he wanted to go as far as the river. Although I assume he's probably not going to have the knowledge of the vision to believe in that play. And things are going to just disengage out here. We see 30 is very confident just slowly playing the rotation game, so I'm not too surprised by this. And 55 seconds on Dragon, we'll probably see our next fight with that.
And this 1k, 2k gold lead has really remained around the whole game, and as we move into 35 minutes, that becomes pretty much nothing.
Yeah, Salt Shaker currently possessing that lead. But yeah, it really doesn't do much. And the question is, 25 seconds to drag. Who is going to get caught next? And Mitch really going for a very late recall. Nope, he's going to interrupt that. Good call. There's just too much to be given up if you recall right now, and he's not sitting on much gold. It's actually Babur and Ghost that are sitting on the most gold, 16 and 1700 respectively.
Ghost could really use the gold, finishing up his
Last Whisper.
Last Whisper. There was so much armor on the enemy team. When you look at Malphite, Shyvana, the people that are actually going to be up in your face.
Yeah, he really needs to be trying to communicate that with his team and trying to find a chance just to sneak the back. If you back off far enough where they don't have vision and you recall, they'll never know you recall. They'll just assume you're back a few steps, and you can make it there before they have the chance to decide on a play. But Mikuro is trying to solo this dragon that is completely black for both teams. But here comes Team Salt Shaker just on intuition, and they're going to find Mikuro here, who's got to be careful. His team's coming to back him up, but they're a little split right now. But Michirugi's very deep. He gets hooked by 30. He's got a Spirit Rush defensively. Mikuro secures the dragon. Now Mikuro flashes the wall. Dan and Mikuro going deep. Ghost and Kainosen trading auto attacks on each other, but they're very low. And Kainosen actually goes super aggressively. He flashes the wall. He's picking up 2 kills. Now Mikuro, though, trying to mop up this fight, turns into a 1-4-4. With the tank line of Forces of Nature just going way too far from their damage. And it's not 30 minutes anymore. That's not going to work. And this should be an easy, easy Nasher for Team Salt Shaker, who are going to be very scary with their enough group waves.
Yeah, this is exactly the point that you don't want to get in as Team Forces of Nature. That you are against a hard engaged comp. Your engage is no longer as good as Malphite, Shyvana, Leona. You don't have that kind of AoE threat to your team, except for the Ashe, but then you have Morgana that is very delayed, unlike the other AoE.
And that's just rough for Forces of Nature. After us complaining for 10 minutes about how they got to stop splitting up, they finally are as 5, and they just get split on the team fight. And a lot of great individual team awareness out of Team Salt Shaker in that fight, who pick a very clean fight. And Kainosen once again just making this whole league regret him going for 25 cents.
I cannot believe a player like that. Even like last season, he showed that he was a caliber of player that could go for quite a bit more.
And I'd actually like to take a moment to thank Twitch chat here for helping me catch something I hadn't seen yet. How do you feel about Trinity Force Malphite? 40 minutes into the game.
You know, he could be building one of those into maybe a Frozen Fist, and then the other one into...
But On the Hunt was popped defensively here. And now a huge charm on the Babur, and he gets blown up. Another kill going to Kainosen. And that's going to secure a lot of time in the power play for Salt Shaker. So we'll give Sketchshot a little benefit of the doubt here until he finishes that Trinity off.
I don't know if Trinity Malphite... I've ever even seen Trinity Force Malphite. Not even as like a troll build.
It's okay. He's probably not building Trinity. I don't believe it's a Trinity. I don't want to believe it's a Trinity. And once again, Force of Nature just slowly playing this rotation game, trying to wear out this Baron. I'm just Dan doing everything he can to apply split pressure, but he's got to watch out. He's got a teleport, and he's probably going to have to use it. Although Scotchnaut does not have a teleport, and he's showing up. I'm Just Dan is only recalling, though. Michirugi with the easy kill on the dive. Ghost 32 is down, and now this inhibitor tower is going to go down. 30 also died during this fight, and that is a free inhibitor. Now, Michirugi, he has Azonia's, but that's not enough. Labur is going to try to slow this down, and Kainosen is just tearing Forces of Nature to pieces. He's trying to finish this off. He's going to kill I'm Just Dan, whose GA is going to pop. Kainosen, probably not long for this world, and you are going to pick wrong, but I'm Just Dan actually has to back out because Kainosen is just life-stealing enough here. And just a super sloppy situation. They needed to have I'm Just Dan communicating his teleport there. They should have known they had teleported edge. They should have had ward set up They should have forced a 5v4 under their own tower. Instead, they just get towered over and give up the inhibitor.
Bad news bears for Force of Nature.
Now, 30 might be trying to go deep here, but he can't bait out the spell shield on Kindhosen, so he won't commit to it.
I feel like Force of Nature had the chance to take this game and really bring it to the next level for them, but it's just so many picks all game long that just not the right decisions to fight with not the right crews, Justin being off in other lanes, and now Wukong starting to kind of fall off as a champion. And the rest of your team had just been picked so much, you just fed the enemy team so many kills. I do not know if Force of Natures have a way back in this game.
Yeah, they're going to need to find a pick somewhere, which, I mean, a team with an Ashe and a Nautilus, I mean, all of the long-range CC they really have, they always have a chance of, especially in the Swain Batty League. But if Master Splinter's team positions properly and only force 5v5s, it's going to be tough for them to lose this one.
Trinity Force Malphite is complete.
Alright.
Now
that Trinity Force happens, we have 20 seconds till Dragon, so there shouldn't be a fight. Quickly tell me, how do you feel about that?
I don't think I've ever even seen this item built on Malphite. Like, I see him build AP, and I see him build tank, and I don't really think I've ever seen him build any other way.
Do you tell me Trinity Force Malphite is bad?
I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just
Alright,
saying
well,
that...
I'm gonna put the words in your mouth then. Trinity Force Malphite is fucking awful. Don't do it. Especially don't do it 43 minutes into the game when the Trinity Force power is long gone. Very, very bad. End rant. Good Dragon by Master Splinter and friends.
Maybe Trinity Force is what he felt he needed to fight I'm Just Dan.
Well, it doesn't look like it's enough for him, because I'm Just Dan slowly taking the advantage on this trade. Both top laners currently have their teleports up, although Scotchnaut under half health and trying to recall. He does have home guards if he wants to set something up here, and Mikro is clearing super creeps in the mid lane. And this is going to be very difficult to hold this base without I'm Just Dan on Force's half of the map. And he's recalling, he's going to clear these creeps off the Nexus. That's good, that's the play that's needed right now. No, he's not going to finish the recall. It's going to be very hard to hold this down. And now Mikro going deep. A Million Baby jumps over the wall. Mitsurugi jumps over the wall. Kindhosen picks up. Oh, no. Master Splinter picks up the kill after Kindhosen puts in the damage. And now this should be an easy tower to snowball over. Meanwhile, the tank's fighting again in the top lane as Team Saltshaker marches on to an inhibitor tower. And Scotchnaut at this point just trying to make sure I'm Just Dan cannot get to this fight. And this is easy inhibitor tower. And inhibitor number 2 as Scotchnaut continues to not let Dan recall. And this is now a huge pressure lead the Team Saltshaker have. And I'm Just Dan just not getting a break. He's got to run, but there's nowhere to run. I'm Just Dan trying to waste some time, but Baron spawns in 5 seconds.
There is no way that they do not give up Baron right here. And I'm Just Dan. It's probably going to fall. You know what I really bet this is that Trinity Force movement speed. We have...
I stand corrected. Trinity Force Malphite, the MVP of this game. And Baron number 2 going over to Team Saltshaker, now sitting at a comfortable 7k gold lead with only 1 tower left to dive. And options slowly running out here for Forces of Nature.
Yeah, there is nothing I foresee them being able to do. I guess they do have 2 towers left top. So maybe they'll force them, they'll slow down Baron with 1, and they'll force them to dive the second one.
Yeah, I think Forces of Nature just got to take the first fight they possibly see. Even if it's incredibly aggressive, just hope the Team Saltshaker's a little split or not ready to be engaged on. Because one fight that they win could buy them most of the time for that bot lane and respawn, take away most of the Baron timer. But instead, Blavuur's got to commit to these supers in the bot lane, and that's going to be a free inner tower. And Scotch not actually teleporting. That should definitely secure this brute force down. And Forces of Nature don't have long before those creeps in the bot lane will be on their Nexus towers. If they're going to fight, it's got to be pretty quick here. And I expect it to be. But no, this tower's going out. Now Mikro gets onto Kainos and a lot of damage. Arrow goes out, but Mikro is the first victim in this fight. Master Splinter putting out a ton of damage, but he actually gets pulled in. Master Splinter is going to die. Now I'm just Dan trying to use his Guardian Angel, and he's going to run out instead of letting himself die. Master Splinter pops back up 0 for 2 in favor of Salt Shaker. Now Kainos going super ham because he can. 0 for 3 with I'm Just Dan about to be a fourth. That is the game over in favor of Team Salt Shaker, who move on to 4-0, with only Sharkbait 3-1 close behind them. And, you know, despite playing with the sub that game, there was a lot that went well for Forces of Nature. They just, in that mid-game, didn't seem to be respecting Salt Shaker at all. There's just, like you said 100 times, there's no other way to put it. They had zero respect for Team Salt Shaker's comp.
I do not think that was Ghost 32. I think Ghost 32 actually had a pretty solid performance.
Yeah, Ghost 32 played solid. I mean, I think Tree would have played better, but it's possible to know how much. But that's definitely not a case of the sub played bad and they lost.
No. It was bad shot. That was either bad shot calling or bad communication, one of the two. But once again, we have Salt Shakers winning a game. Who do you think?
Yeah.
Who do you think played the best?
The only person on that team that was really standing out to me was Kindhouse, and I thought his positioning in those fights was excellent. And it's hard to have great positioning as Sivir. Sivir, you just kind of want to get some good damage at the start of the fight and make sure you have a nice ult. But Kindhouse, once again, looking like one of the best AD carries in this league. And I think he's really making a case to keep that starting slot from KK.
Oh, I 100% agree. I mean, look at the gold lead that we even see. Kindhosen, like 4K up from Master Splinter. I'm sorry, a K up from Master Splinter. 4K up from Scotchnot. He has everything on that team.
Yeah, and a team full of people who just did their jobs. I thought Kindhosen played extremely well. So we're going to see if we can get Kindhosen moved into this channel real fast.
User was moved to your channel.
Kindhosen, congratulations, welcome back, etc., etc.
Thank you, Swift.
Start with something you're probably going to be hearing a lot this season. How does it feel to be 25 cents?
It feels pretty good. I definitely like throwing it back in the owner's faces. Let me go for a quarter and then me destroying like 4 games in a row. So
are we gonna see you starting again next week?
We're gonna have some practices this week with King. Obviously he got back last night at like 2 a.m. or something like that. So we definitely want to play some games with him, see where he fits, and then just go from there. Pretty much whatever happens, happens.
I hope we see you back next week as an AD carry. For the BCL.
Yeah.
SBL.
Yeah, I mean, I like both, so it's whatever to me.
So you guys just, I mean, your comp, it just had one direction, and it was forward. You guys just kept going that way. Did you think as much as we did that Forces of Nature were just giving zero respect to your ability to engage?
Yeah, forward's definitely our favorite direction on Team Salt Shaker. They had a pretty good team fight, but they were splitting up a little bit too much. We tried to take advantage of that and just use the Sivir ult to catch everyone out. Yeah, I feel like they were respecting us in team fights because they knew they could team fight with us. They had a really strong team fight. But it was just that Sivir running in when they weren't all grouped up that kind of did it for them.
Alright, I gotta ask you the most important thing I was wondering during this game. How do you feel about Trinity Force Malphite?
I mean, he did the most damage last week, so we can't really knock on his builds. It's like Death God Nero. He built complete shit, and he still did the best. But I don't know. Yeah.
I felt like this was the first week that we actually saw Scotch not struggle in a lane, and that was really cool to see him play from behind and see how he did it.
Yeah, he definitely got some attention from their jungler there on Mikuro. He was kind of getting, you get a little frustrated when their jungler comes top, like 5 times in the first 10 minutes. But he played pretty good from that position. He came back and he was pretty good with his ultimates late game, so he deserved that Triforce buy.
Well, you can't argue with victory.
You cannot, and you also could not argue with, if you're doing well, just buy a Triforce.
Yeah, Triforce does tons of damage. That's how you win the game.
So, week 5, the only team you have left on your first round robin is the currently winless WCF. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but I feel like you guys have a pretty good chance of starting 5-0, which is very similar to the team Master Splinter was on last season that also started 7-0 before shitting the bed out of every orifice in their body for the remainder of the season. What do you guys have going for you to convince me that's not going to just happen again this season?
I don't know, honestly. I mean, we're a strong team. Strong teams could falter. I think that team had some troubles late game, or later in the season, just struggling with as a team. I hope we don't do that, and I think practicing together, we're gonna try to get past that and make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, there you heard it, folks. They're going to try to make it not happen, but it's going to happen. Master Splinter's team confirmed 4th, 3rd place. So congratulations again on the win. You guys have looked awesome so far this season.
All right,
And
thanks. Yeah.
that's going to do it for week 4 of the Swain Daddy Leagues, folks. So from myself, my Wang, and all of the live broadcast crew, whatever Rivington says when he points